All right. All right, everyone. Sorry about that. I had a slight glitch in the system, and I had to get that resolved. I think I have it resolved now. Right? So let me just adjust this camera a little bit. I adjusted this earlier, but I was moving things around. All right, I think that's good. So as you can see, it says lack of accountability. Lack of accountability. So today I'm going to brush on the lack of accountability. And I'm going to do it with a broad stroke. And maybe some parts it might be with a narrow stroke, a bit personal. Right? And when I get into the narrow areas, I might leave out a few things, or I may decide to just say it as it is. All right. So when someone is lacking accountability, it could be you, it could be me, it could be a loved one, like a spouse or a relative. It could be a coworker. And the accountability works in a way where it pushes oh shucks, let me make sure. All right, so it's let me make sure, because I see that I didn't do that. All right, and let me just make sure it's here. All right, so okay, so everywhere now. All right, so let me go back here. All right, so the content is everywhere. So right now we're streaming on YouTube, Rumble, Twitch, Kick, and Party. Party.com. Party with an I, not a Y. All right? So we're on these platforms. So back to what I was saying earlier, that accountability for many, male or female, it could be, like I said earlier, it could be a family member, like a relative. It could be a spouse, a husband, a wife, a girlfriend, a boyfriend, or a man friend or woman friend. It could be it could be platonic, meaning that there's no intimacy, or it could be an intimate relationship, meaning that there's adult actions going on. And in saying that, oftentimes we have people that will brush off accountability. And they do it in such a way that it appears that they are gaslighting you when this happens. And accountability go hand in hand with gaslighting. Let me make sure that my audio is coming through fine. Give me a second. Make sure my audio, everything is fine. Give me a second. You know, this is how it is. Yeah, give me a second. You can set everything up. You can set everything up, and then when it's the moment of truth, things are a little bit off. So let me just double check. All right, cool. We're good to go. We're good to go, like Flojo, as I like to say. So back to what I was saying. So when someone decides that they are not going to, or they don't want to be held accountable, a motion of this song and dance start happening, where they start looking to the left, like trying to figure stuff out, or they look down. They won't necessarily look you in the eyes, right? They'll kind of glance away, especially when they're lying, because they don't want the accountability to make them feel uneasy. You could literally catch a person red-handed, and that person, excuse me, that person will start that song and dance. Like, what are you talking about? Or you can say to them, like, hey, did you do that? And their response would be like, what you mean? All right. And you will point out exactly, and be like, what do you mean? I am talking about this. Don't do this, because it is not the right thing to do. You know that if something is given to you one way, you should give it back the same way you got it. Right? You know that if someone knows you to be a liar and you open your mouth and you speak, they're automatically going to assume that you're lying. And oftentimes people that don't want to be held accountable will start the gaslighting because they don't want to face accountability. So the lack of accountability makes people do odd things, say odd things. They will even betray you because their pride is far more controlling of them. Their pride supersedes being right, doing the right thing, I should say. They have to be right, so they become very prideful and they will lie. So I have a couple of clips to play, and then I'm going to tell you a story of one of my recent experience, right? So I have, like, I believe 3 clips, and let me go over to that. All right, let me get rid of this.
The second you say, I'm sorry,
All right.
what? You've already lost.
All right, so let me start this over.
If you don't know how to take accountability for your actions,
So
you are going.
This one is of a woman talking about accountability, right? So I found her on TikTok, and she has some statements to make about accountability. So let's get into it.
Tonight for women. Harsh? Maybe. Accountability.
If you don't know how to take accountability for your actions, you are going to destroy every relationship you ever try to build. Most women say they want communication, honesty, and emotional maturity, right? But the moment they're called out, they flip the script, they gaslight, deflect, or say, I only acted this way because you did this. That is not accountability. That is avoidance. And that's exactly why good men check out and shut down. Listen carefully. Accountability does not make you weak. Get that out of your freaking head. It doesn't make you less feminine. It's actually one of the most magnetic things about a woman. A man feels safe with a woman who can own her behavior instead of trying to justify it. When you refuse to take ownership, you teach him that your emotions will always outweigh logic, that every disagreement you have will turn into the blame game. And when that happens, he stops opening up. Not because he doesn't care, but because it's not safe for him to do so. A real apology sounds like this: I'm sorry for what I said. I can see how that made you feel. I will do better next time. That's it. That is growth. That is maturity. The second you say, I'm sorry, but, you've already lost the moment. Men, this part is for you.
Facts.
You need to put your foot down and make her realize that this behavior is not okay. When you keep letting it slide, you're teaching her that disrespect is negotiable. You're not helping her grow. You're enabling the dysfunction. Real men hold the line, not to dominate, but to protect the standard of respect between you two. Accountability is what separates a woman who is healed from a woman who is still reacting from her wounds. It's not about being perfect, but it's about being aware. When both people learn and acknowledge how to own their own energy, you stop breaking what was meant to build you. Learn how to take some accountability. It's not that hard. Put your ego down. Learn. If you don't know how to take accountability for your actions, you are going to destroy every relationship you ever try to build. Most women say they want communication, honesty, and emotional maturity.
Let's
right?
pause that for a
The moment
second.
they're called out, they flip the script, they
Okay.
gaslight, deflect.
All right. So understand what she's saying here. Understand what she's saying. Now, the fact that most women, in my experience, right? Most women, in my experience, tend to want to gaslight a man, right? So I'm not too sure if you guys know who this woman is, right? And she didn't used to look like this, right? She didn't used to look like this. Actually, let me pull up a picture of how she used to look. Give me a second. All right. Let's pull up some image of her back in the days when she was a bombshell. Okay? Oh, that's a small picture. I need a much bigger one. Much bigger one that you guys can see. Let me see if I can find a much bigger image of her where you guys can actually see what she used to look like before all the Botox, the plastic surgery, the BBL, right? How she used to look. And then you understand why I'm using her as an example to talk about lack of accountability. But as you can see, these are some glamour shots that she has taken over the years. Whether she were slim, I give you this one. Hopefully this is a big enough one. All right. So there. So this is her before. Right? I hope you can see the mouse. This is Vivica Fox before. Right? Now, this is her now. So to the left, right beside me, is what she used to look like. Right? And to the right is what she currently look like. Of course, makeup here and there will change and contour some of her features so she don't look as bad as she really may look, right? And I am going to now bring up a story done by O'Shea Duke Jackson on his platform talking about Vivica Fox and how things turn out and transpire between her and 50 Cent. Many of you know who 50 Cent is. Many of you know who 50 Cent is. And her lack of accountability landed her in a position or a predicament as to why she is salty and bitter towards 50 Cent 22 years later. Right? All right, let's play this video. Let's expand it.
First major movie that I would see her in. A movie called
Let's go back a little bit.
Vivica Fox would be in the by the time February 1997 came, Vivica Fox would be in the first major movie that I would see her in. A movie called Booty Call. It was with, Jamie Foxx, Tommy Davidson, and Tamala Jones. And for most of us who were in high school at that time, we were introduced to a very beautiful, talented actress. She was 32 then, turning 33 that summer. But damn Vivica A. Fox. so fine. Damn. In 2003, 50 Cent would shoot his shot at Vivica A. Fox at the BET Awards. And she had to be around 38 to 39. And guess what? She was still fine. 50 Cent must have been about 27 or 28. But their relationship was on fire. I mean, it was brief, but it was very public. But still, we're talking about it today. And we're going to get back to that relationship. As time would go on, Vivica A. Fox and 50 Cent would split up. 50 Cent would transition from hip hop into doing TV shows and movies and things like that, making a...
So, as you can so far understand where this is going, right? She's very salty about what happened to her and 50 Cent. And that saltiness, even when she's being asked certain questions, she will drop she'll drop some epithets here and there in regards to 50 Cent and what he has going on. Let's continue. Oh, shucks.
A lateral move and then what I would consider a vertical move. While, Vivica A. Fox started to do stuff like, selling hair bundles and going to some forms of entrepreneurship, getting little roles here and there. But 50 Cent would become a man that she never expected him to become. And she would show some level of chagrin for passing up on 50 Cent.
I've said this many times before, 50 Cent was the love of my life. He was the one that, kind of blew that one. Happens. I was young, had been used to taking care of myself. 50 wanted me to be his princess, and I didn't get it.
Now, Vivica A. Fox would still be beautiful, but then something started to happen. We started to see her face change a lot. And not that she was ugly or anything. It's just that her face got a lot whiter out of the blue. Now, it's not because I feel like she put on, weight or anything, because even when she was like 50, she still looked like she always looked. But then something just happened, it's like her face started kind of swelling up. And then Tasha K did this.
This looks normal. Besides all the Botox, and they put too much Botox in the forehead, so it's spreading the forehead, because what it does is stretches your skin out when you do Botox, and when it dissolves, your skin gets thick. It's kind of like losing weight and gaining weight and losing weight, and the skin starts sagging, so they put more Botox in, so the face gets bigger and bigger and wider. Hey, there's no issue.
You end up with a concrete face. Have you ever seen some woman where they go and they get collagen in their lips and their lips look like a fish, like kind of like something like this, right? And they have this astronomically large lip looking. It looks almost like rubberish, and they, for some reason, they're fascinated with it. They think that it looks beautiful, and they will go and get more and more, and it's like the perfect storm. They're thinking that it looks good, while other people are looking at them like, don't you realize how you look? But they're not believing what people are saying. They're believing that what they believe in their head to be fact, and that is beautiful. And so she goes on this constant trip of trying to gain this youthful beauty that she once had. And many people do it, women and men. I've seen it. Right? But let's continue.
You with this video at all. However, keep watching.
So as it appears, Vivica A. Fox was receiving Botox injections, and it does swell your face, and then it stretches your skin out, which makes sense as to why Vivica A. Fox's, public appearance changed. And then this.
She looks like a normal 50-plus-year-old black woman. The BBL's a little off. It don't match the legs, but pause. Who is that? Who the is that?
Got him! So Vivica A. Fox was ashamed of what she was starting to look like, because what she would do is post AI photos of what she used to look like, basically being ashamed of what the Botox did to her face. Now this is important because Vivica A. Fox was trying to, invest in her looks, and it appears the Botox did the exact opposite, but that wasn't the only thing that she tried to do. Tasha K mentioned it. Vivica A. Fox got the Botox, and then she also got the BBL. And this particular video went viral like earlier this year when she was at a particular, I think like a hair salon, or she had like a new hair product coming out somewhere in Texas, and she came in and people noticed the BBL. But 50 Cent decided to do something.
BBL may have 50 Cent spinning the block. He posted this to his own Instagram, trolling. One thing about 50, he always spins the block. He never forgets. If he's into it with you, once it's up forever.
Now, before this happened, it was almost like Vivica A. Fox was asking 50 Cent for forgiveness, okay? But
she has a weird way of asking for forgiveness, right? She dropped these undermining shots at 50 Cent and then come back when she thinks that he's going to say something and embarrass her. And oftentimes many women will do that. They will drop little undermining comments and then look you in your face and say that. And many men will do the same thing too. They will look you in the face and be like, bro, I that's not what I meant. Then what did you mean? Exactly what did you mean to say when you said that, or when you made that statement? How do you want me to interpret it? Right? Anyone will gaslight you. Be careful and be vigilant. Let's continue.
it seemed that after 50 Cent made fun of her, it probably hurt her feelings. And, you know, she probably did remember it, and that's important. But at the same time, people were making fun of her and her new appearance.
So I came across this. The left side says, when you want her. The right side says, when she wants you.
So somehow, Vivica A. Fox.
That one was funny. Let's go back for a second, right? Let's wait. I went by too far. Let me make sure.
When she wants you.
All right, wait. Let me go back just a little. That was kind of really funny right there. I'll leave it there. Right? So when a man is chasing a woman and she's hot, right? She is hot. She let him run after her. She'll tell him no. She'll turn him down, right? She'll make him act like a kind of an idiot for her, right?
Beta.
And he will literally do almost everything because she thinks that she has all the time in the world, right? So he'll spin the block for her. And then when a certain time comes, it shifts. It shifts. Let's continue.
Her new appearance.
So I came across this. The left side says when you want her. The right side says when she wants you.
So somehow Vivica A. Fox, when she was not looking her best, basically was being trolled by a whole bunch of people as an example of, you know, when you're hot and everybody wants you, you look good, and then when you're not, then you're remorseful. And that continued to be the messaging.
I know a lot of men are getting a lot of enjoyment out of talking about what she looked like back in the day versus what she looked like now, and why she didn't want these things when she looked her best. But let's keep it for real. Most people, this is what they do. Most people, when they look their best, when they're in the best position financially, they don't want to settle down. They don't want the people that want them at that time, right? They think they got so many options. They think that so many people want them that they can keep playing around. And then finally, when that money dry up or when them looks ain't the same, then all of a sudden, that's when them standards start dropping and they willing to accept certain things. Or they keep the same standards and now it sounds delusional that they want these things when they don't look the same or they not in the same place financially.
So imagine getting Botox, getting a BBL that's struggling. You're in your 60s, you're going on talk shows, and you're talking about the fact that you want to date and guys are not dating you. And then the love of your life, the guy that you really felt like you mistreated him, well, he doesn't want anything to do with you. And remember, 50 Cent had talked about his prior relationship with Vivica A. Fox when he was young.
Mike, that's exactly what my experience with what's the name was like with Vivica.
Oh, with Vivica.
She thought I was just saying this stuff like I was overzealous.
Right.
But I had really the plan, like the layout.
Yeah.
Like, so I'm saying, and then
You had the vision.
and then she went off doing stuff that because she didn't
Believe it.
believe it. Like, and then it was like, it felt like the court was dragging the horse.
Right.
And then I had to move away from that because it felt weird. Like it's like our publicist and stuff was telling the stuff to do.
Yeah.
And I was like, nah, this is crazy because she'd been on before me. You know?
Okay.
She was making me feel like a little boy.
So again, he's saying, look, I was trying to be with her. She was treating me like I was a little boy, and I couldn't really handle that. And then as you know, 50 Cent is still dating like women who are like much younger. Vivica A. Fox was taking her little shots here and there, but it's clear that 50 Cent's last 20 years or last 23 years were more successful than Vivica A. Fox's, and Vivica A. Fox declined in the relationship or the dating market, and 50 Cent still rose. He was able to adjust and she was not. And this brings us to something that just happened in the last 48 hours. Vivica A. Fox is at some particular place, I don't know, at an event, and she's, being asked questions. And then out of the blue, she says this.
Fire.
Wait for this. Now, she was asked a simple question. And the question that she was asked was more along the line of what regrets, right? Or they're kind of like trying to get some information from her so she can give a great answer, maybe something that will go down in history as a good punchline or a good statement, maybe some words of affirmation. But instead, she took a chance to pop shots in a negative way at 50. Well, that's the only way you can pop shots negatively. You can't pop shots. Well, depends on the context of the situation. But let's continue. Listen carefully.
To chase after their dreams. Don't date 50 Cent and don't date no damn rappers.
Now, let's go back. I want you to hear that again.
50 Cent and don't date.
Says this.
Fire to chase after their dreams. Don't date 50 Cent and don't date no damn rappers.
Now, that's crazy. That's why you that's why you have to always have this in mind.
Never underestimate a woman's delusion.
You cannot underestimate a woman's delusion. Why? Because even though she was the one that was wrong, her lack of accountability, her pride supersede facts, supersedes the truth, because she's still living in denial. Right? It's kind of like when a man cheats on a woman and he's caught and she ends the relationship. He's still in denial when she moves on. So much so that he will pop up at her place and sometimes do some serious harm. Right? Think in terms of the worst things that could possibly happen when a jealous and overzealous person comes to see you and you're with someone else after they know what they did and you ended the relationship. Right? So it wasn't 50 Cent that was the one that was causing the problem in the relationship. It was her. Right? Let's continue.
50 Cent would respond to this. He says, either way, I'm going to have that ass in the Matrix. You know I love me some you, girl. But damn, it's been 22 years, Vivica. So people basically decided to respond. He basically told her to come home. No, he didn't, boo. He do not want her. Kim Whitley, oh, thank you, 50. Now, this is interesting because 50 Cent was thoroughly being disrespected by Vivica A. Fox. And you see what Kim Whitley is saying. Oh, thank you, 50. Basically, thank you for not humiliating Vivica A. Fox, who is known for being disrespectful to black men, and she hasn't learned it in the last 61 years of her life. But somehow 50 Cent must take the higher road, even though Vivica A. Fox doesn't want to take the higher road. And then you see this. Oh, he wasn't mean. Vivica A. has been talking about him for years. She still loved that man. Now, this is something that is also true. Again, this is something that is expected, and I've noticed this. You know, when you're a black man, if you respond, you look like, you know, you're not being manly. But
yeah, when you respond to these kind of women, they tend to the sister code, that sister code, all the women come at you as if you're not supposed to have any feelings. You're supposed to just brush it off. Right? Kind of like 99 problems, but a bitch in one. Right? And all the time, we're supposed to just suck it up. Why? Because they believe that they are always right. And this is not a bashing woman, because I know men like this personally till this day. Right? That I speak to on a regular. Right? Will not take accountability. They will go around in circles before they admit that they're wrong. Right? Let's continue.
But if you're not being mean, it's like, oh, that was nice of him. because she's been talking about you for years, insulting you for years, bringing you up for years. And at the same time, she's on record talking about the fact that she dropped the ball herself, and she's the reason for why she's single right now. Again, you have more ladies. This is the nicest version of petty that I've ever observed from him. You hear this right now. He cares about her feelings. He loves her for real. This is the aunt and the uncle of my family who always beefing but still love each other. Then you have this, LOL, that was a very nice response for him. The women clearly understand that what she's doing is
wrong,
unprofessional and rude, and she doesn't deserve mercy. But they are excited that Vivica A. Fox is not being blasted because 50 Cent has all kind of receipts in which he could really hurt her feelings. We've already seen how she looks with the Botox. He could go for the BBL, but he doesn't. And the reason why he doesn't is because he feels sorry for her. And again,
yeah, she's
this
pathetic.
is what is happening with certain brothers, especially some of the guys who are extremely successful. And then you see somebody like Vivica A. Fox, who's historically very beautiful, but doesn't have the attitude to match the looks. And what you can get away with when you're...
And I'm going to talk about that. That's why I show this video, because let me play.
33, 34, you can't get away with once you're 61. And that's because Vivica A. Fox did not invest in the one currency that as human beings we can all cash in one day, which is somebody's goodwill. You see, the reality is it's okay to be beautiful and it's okay to be talented. But there are two things in life that typically hurts almost everybody. One, never being accountable for your own mistakes. Two, blaming other people for why they don't want to deal with your ass. And three, overestimating your leverage in places in which you have none. And as you get older, you have to have more leverage simply because you don't have the looks. And when you're older, you typically have to do more for a mate, especially an attractive mate, if you are a lady, especially if you're a single lady. It's different if you're like 61 and you've been married for like 30 years or 40 years. That's a little bit different. But if you're 61 and you're in the dating market and you expect that somebody should just put up with you because you are you're not going to have very much choice but to be mad at somebody else because, well, you're 61 and you definitely won't be mad at yourself because you want to know why? That's too much responsibility. And all of this is just crash outs. It's deniability. And again, this is why a lot of guys start laughing at women, not just getting angry at you, but they start laughing at you. And this is what you're probably going to see, a mature response from a lot of men who just don't want to be bothered. And then understanding that women who act like this won't have any leverage as time goes on. And again, it's easy when you...
Many situations I've gone down over time like this. Many.
You 25, you 30, maybe 40, you living your best life. You got all things going for you. You got money, you're still sexy. Yeah, it's good to say that. But see, what happens is at a certain point, you start to lose your leverage. You don't have to admit that you're losing it. You just show that you're losing it. And how do you do it? Well, you start getting Botox. Beautiful women like Vivica A. Fox, you want to look better, but you don't want to act better. I mean, it makes no sense, but I guess it's what happens, right? You want to look better because you don't want to invest in acting better. And since you can't act better, well, now the booty is a little bit saggy, so let's look at the BBL. And maybe Botox and the BBL will make a man want to deal with you since they didn't want to deal with your attitude.
That's a great point that O'Shea Duke Jackson made. O'Shea Duke Jackson. That's a great point. If you know that you have a bad attitude, you're going to do the best things. You're going to do the best things you possibly can do to enhance your appearance. Why? Because you want to attract the type of man that you want based on your appearance. And if the men are weak, they are going to fall to their knees based on your physicalities. That's what's going to happen. I will tell women that it doesn't matter how beautiful they are. I will tell them, and I repeat this again at some point. Beauty is skin deep. And you could be beautiful on the outside, but until I know how you are on the inside, that will determine if I tell you that you're beautiful or not. Yeah, you're pretty, you're attractive, you're nice looking, but beauty does not complete a person just based on appearance, right? It's kind of like a wolf in sheep clothing, right? Dressed like a sheep, meek and mild, but once you get close, the wolf comes out. That's how some of these type of people are. Let's continue.
And guess what we find out every time? That looks are not everything. Even if Vivica A. Fox still looked like she did when she was 40, she would still be single because nobody wants to deal with her. And that nasty ass attitude is the reason why. And a lot of ladies are not gonna get it until it's too late. And so when it's too late, you don't want to admit that it's been your attitude the whole entire time, not really your looks, because guys can take a whole bunch of plethora of women, a different range of women. Not everybody will be your type. I'm not everybody's type. But guess what? The best chance that you have is being something or being somebody that someone likes and appreciates, whether that's in business or in relationships. But if you don't work on the looking skills or the non-phenotypical skills, which obviously she never did, well, once you get 61 or 70 and you don't have those physical skills, see, all of that negativity compounds in a bad way in which you can't really express to the world why don't nobody want to deal with you. So you have to go and blame somebody else who's clearly not even thinking of you, and you're talking about somebody else who has complete leverage. What is she really trying to say here? 50 Cent, please take me back. I'm sorry, Daddy. I know I messed up with the Botox. I know I got a struggle BBL, but don't nobody want me. I know I'm telling these women not to date you or date rappers, but all my fans, don't nobody want them either. Please, 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 yes. So guys, what do you think? It's your boy O'Shea Duke Jackson, back at it again. Another episode of the Celebrity Junk Opera.
All right, so let's minimize this and move over to something else. But let me check something before. Make sure everything is all good. All right, let me check this. Okay. All right, everything is still looking all good. All right, so now I'm going to jump over to another video.
Liars and manipulators do not hold themselves accountable. They got every excuse in the book, always making it about it's this, it's that, it's this person, trying to hide from any consequences, trying to hide from any work that they're gonna have to do to make anything better. So when you notice that this man never takes accountability, this is a huge red flag. He doesn't.
So understand, this is not just about women, it's about both genders. Both genders tend to have this same lack of accountability, right? It's kind of like, let's use it this way, it's kind of like cross platforms. It doesn't matter if it's in work, play, or relationship. You have everyday citizens, the general public doing it. You have people in government that's doing it. People in the military police force that's doing it. People in the court system that's doing it. Everybody, right? At some point in their life, there is no lack of accountability. Right? If there was ever one perfect person on earth, being on earth, it was the Messiah, Yah, at the time when he was on earth. Everybody else have always found a way to skirt accountability. Even I have. All right? Unintentionally, I have. I can't say that I ever remember myself purposefully trying to avoid accountability unintentionally, and at times I will give a reason as to why I did something, and someone will say, "So Shai, you're wrong. All right, you shouldn't have done that." And in my mind, I have a reason as to why I did it. And they're saying, "No, you're wrong." And then when another person is asked, and that person also sides with the person that's trying to point out the mistake or the faults that occurred on my part, I have to concede. Right? I have to concede. So everybody at some point skirt accountability. Right? I'm going to show a video, another clip. It's about police officers interrogating a guy. And these police officers are saying some very harsh things to the guy because they believe that he shouldn't be in America. And then I'm going to get into my story as to why I pulled this up for the entertainment purpose of it, and so I could talk about what happened to me recently. All right, let me play the other video. Let me close this out and close it out. All right, let's start this over again.
No reason at all, but I'm going to arrest you.
Let's start this over.
A citizen a few years ago.
An Asian. We are with the Federal ICE Patrol, and we are going to take you to the truck right now unless you come up with freaking ID.
Do you have your passport or maybe proof that you became a years ago?
An Asian man is stopped and targeted by authorities who assume he's in the country illegally. But they couldn't be more wrong. When he calmly pulls out his documentation, the script flips fast. What you're about to witness is a lesson in how dangerous assumptions can be, and how dignity speaks louder than ignorance.
I see the tattoos, I see the gang relationship. I don't understand the shoes, but you look like a gang member. We're gonna have to go now.
Yeah.
Give me ID.
Something is seriously wrong with the both of you.
Are you having problems understanding what we're saying here? Bios condios, my friend.
I'm gonna take you down to the creek, boy, and leave you there. You understand me?
You don't come into our country.
This is very, very inappropriate from the both of you.
How do you say it's inappropriate, boy, that I am inappropriate?
You're here.
You're making false accusations right now at in an inappropriate time.
Inappropriate? You are out here in my country looking like that. I do not like
looking
this.
Like what?
You just came in and you're looking like this. You're definitely a gang member. I know that, sir.
You come to our country, you rob, you do all this stuff.
My God, you guys are false accusations, okay?
Well, let me see some ID, sir, or we gotta go.
Asian? Is this what it is? Because you're racial pro.
So you see, it happens. It happens, but pay attention, and it's going to be finishing, and I'm going to move on. I'll probably have a quick conversation with ChatGPT as well. All right, so let's continue.
What country? Where
are you from?
Job way too seriously. Vietnam.
We didn't.
Where are your American papers to show you're actually supposed to be here, sir?
I'm trying to set you guys straight on your inappropriate action at the moment.
I want to hurry up and finish this up and take you down so we can send you to Florida.
Yeah, if you would just
alligators and stuff. You know, you like those?
If you would just come into our country legally, then we wouldn't have this issue. You'd have your paperwork. You could show us. We wouldn't need a translator, so you would understand what we're saying here. You get it?
Again, you guys are infringing on my rights.
It is my right now to come.
Let's fast forward this.
It seems like it is very inappropriate.
Let's fast forward this.
Very inappropriate.
I guess
Don't be sticking your chest out like that, man.
If you can't show some ID, I already got
I'm only 5'3". We're just do that stuff, man.
All right, let's go towards the end.
So inappropriate.
Do you
waste all taxes?
That's
no reason at all, but I'm gonna.
an illegal get a blue passport. Here's more. I got a real ID. How can an illegal Asian get a real ID? Okay. Social Security. Okay.
Okay, sir.
Uh-huh. And I shop at Walmart. So,
all right, sir. Thank you very much. We could have made that a little bit better. Just brought those out at first. Yeah. Have a good day.
if I had the number to Donald Trump, I'll be calling you.
You see, they did not even apologize to this man, right? They just simply tell him, "Have a good day, sir." Like they were right. This is what I talk about. Like they were right. And the lack of accountability is oozing out of them. They were willing to harass this man, right? Now, let me jump forward now. So, let's have a conversation with ChatGPT, right? Let's have a conversation with ChatGPT. Hey, ChatGPT. Let's talk about accountability and the lack of accountability. What are the ups? Yes. Let's talk about the differences of accountability and the lack of accountability.
Sure thing. So when there's accountability, people are clear about their roles, their responsibilities, and they follow through on their commitments. It builds trust and encourages a culture of growth. On the other hand, a lack of accountability can lead to confusion, missed deadlines, and sometimes even resentment among team members. It can really impact overall performance and morale.
When two people are in a relationship and they have issues, and the issues are clear as day. However, when those issues are brought up, what's the upside and what's the versus the downside of not wanting to be held accountable?
That's a really thoughtful question. On the upside, when both people in a relationship are willing to be accountable, it means that issues can be addressed openly and constructively. This leads to growth, better understanding, and a stronger bond. On the downside, if someone is unwilling to be held accountable, it can create frustration, unresolved conflicts, and a sense of distance. It can make it harder to move forward and strengthen the relationship.
In history, as anyone that has not been held accountable gotten away with it over long periods?
Absolutely. History is full of examples where individuals or groups have avoided accountability for extended periods. Sometimes this happens due to power dynamics, lack of transparency, or just the sheer complexity of the situation. While they might get away with it temporarily, it often catches up with them eventually, leading to bigger consequences. It's a fascinating aspect of human behavior.
What is the power dynamics? What kind of shift in power dynamics in accountability versus lack of accountability?
When accountability is strong, power is distributed more evenly, and everyone feels responsible and empowered to contribute. On the other hand, when there's a lack of accountability, power often concentrates in the hands of a few, which can create an environment where certain people are shielded from consequences. This shift can make it harder to address issues and can sometimes lead to a less transparent and fair environment.
Okay. In a relationship, I asked this question earlier, but I'm going to ask it in a different way. In a relationship with a man and a woman in a relationship, which gender usually avoids accountability more?
That's an interesting question, and it's a bit nuanced. Avoidance of accountability can really vary from person to person rather than strictly by gender. Each individual has their own communication style and patterns, and it can be influenced by a lot of factors like personality, upbringing, and the dynamics of the specific relationship. So it really depends on the individuals involved.
Okay.
If
Go ahead.
No worries at all. I'm here for any questions or thoughts you have, so just let me know.
All right. I will come back to you in a few, okay?
Sounds perfect. I'll be here whenever you're ready. Take your time.
All right, sounds good. So I'm going to talk about a relationship I had. And that relationship was
I'm here to listen.
was about
Absolutely.
Okay, yeah. Just listen for now. I'll tell you when I need your feedback, okay? So, in this relationship,
Absolutely. I'm all ears. Just let me know when you're ready for some feedback or if you have any questions.
okay, in this relationship, the person that I was seeing. They were willing to harass this man, right? Okay, hold on. In the relationship that I was in, every time that something happened, this person would find a way to make it appear that I'm the guilty one. She would take an innocent conversation. I'm going to give you a scenario because I'm going to talk about this again at a different time. So, the last conversation we had, we were talking about gender roles. We were talking about how male and female are. We were talking about the strengths of females and the strengths of men, and the lack of strength for female and the lack of strength for in men. So the conversation started as to where she wanted to know, how is it that when a woman wants something from a man, he just doesn't give it to her? And I asked her, I said, why when a woman wants something from a man, he must just give it to her? Are they in a relationship? She said to me, that doesn't even matter. I said, what do you mean it doesn't matter? She goes on to say, when a woman wants something, she should get it. Simply because she's a woman. Because women deserve it. I'm like, okay, yes, women deserve things. However, are they in a relationship? She says, it doesn't matter if they're in a relationship or not. A man is supposed to give a woman what they want, relationship or not. I said, so if a man and a woman is going out and the woman dresses a certain way and the man says to her, hey, babe, I don't like what you're wearing. It's not appropriate. It looks too revealing. She turns to him and she says, this is what I want to wear. So I said, I noticed that you have that similar personality. Like if I tell you I don't want you to wear something, because it's not like you are by yourself anymore. We're seeing each other. We're in a relationship. So please change that. The minute she gets upset about a disagreement, she goes and she put this particular outfit that she likes to wear that I think looks very sluttish, right? I don't like. It's too revealing. And she says, I understand when I'm in a relationship, if my man says, hey, I don't want you to wear something, I'm going to change it. I said, okay. So if you're not in a relationship and you put something on and you go out on the street and another man sees you and come and slap you on your ass, do you expect a guy to protect you? She said, yes, I expect another guy to stop this guy. I said, so it's okay for you to go out on the street around men that you know have these tendencies, dressed like that, and if something happens, you expect some guy to just protect you. Yes. I said, I have a problem with men that put their hands on women uncalled for. But if a woman is going to go in a situation knowing how certain men are and dress a certain way, she's asking for the unwanted attention. And she said, a man is not supposed to put his hand on a woman regardless. I say a woman is supposed to respect herself enough not to wear revealing clothes, walk in the street looking like a streetwalker. So she says, well, regardless, a man is supposed to give a woman what they want because we deserve it. We give birth to man. I said, what? She said, yeah, we give birth to man. I said, so a man don't play a role in the child coming into existence? She says that the child is the woman's because she gives birth. I said, so it's not the man? She said, yeah, it's the man's, the father. That's why I have a great co-parenting relationship with my daughter's father. I said, okay. I said, so let me ask another question. Who came first? She said, what do you mean? I said, who came first, the man or the woman? She says that the woman came first. Women were created first. I said, oh, hold a second. Why are women called women? Or why are women called females? And she says to me, it doesn't matter if in the word woman, the word man is in the word woman and the word male is in female. I said, it does matter. It means that you are a biological female, mean a male with a biological womb inside of you. That's why it's woman. Right? The word is shortened from WOMB MAN to WOMAN, woman. Right? Feminine male, female. That's why you're called a female. Right? A biological female. Right? Not those other types. And she said, women were created first and give birth to man. The Creator created woman first and give birth to man. And women give birth to man for man to serve them and give them what they want. I said, what? She said, yes. I said, are you serious? You're telling me that you believe that a woman was created first and then the man was created and the woman give birth to the man. I said, then how did the woman become impregnated if the man was created after and the woman was created first? Wouldn't it make sense that the man was created first and then the woman is created after? She said, no, I can't believe you think that way. Women are created first. Women are the goddess of the earth. We are the goddess of the earth, and we are supposed to get what we want, and we give birth to man, and man is supposed to give us what we want. Man is supposed to serve us and give us what we want because we deserve it. Right? I was actually cooking meal for both of us. Right? By this time, the relationship has ended because I couldn't see myself being with her anymore. Because her mouth, she's very nice looking, very attractive, nice body, but she's a wolf in sheep clothing. Right? After that statement, I was like, I couldn't see myself doing anything for her anymore. Because she believed that I'm supposed to serve her because I'm a man and she's a woman. And I'm supposed to give her what she wants regardless. And then after she made that statement, a bunch of things start making sense to me. Why she would say certain things to me. Why she would operate a certain way. Why she's super nice, love bomb me, but then try to isolate me from everybody. And when I say everybody, I mean family and friends. And I didn't understand why she was trying to isolate me like this. It was because she was trying to control me so she can have utter control over me. And when I call her out on it, no accountability, lack of accountability. Right? So I decided that I'm going to talk about it. And I've been meaning to talk about it for weeks. For several weeks now. And I came in today and I was like, I'm going to talk about it now. Because that lack of accountability in anybody, male or female, play a big part. Trust, respect, and if there's no trust and respect because of a lack of accountability, things can't really progress with anybody, whether it's a single person or whether it's a group of people. Right? And oftentimes, when you care about someone or you're a nice person, you tend to want to do the best, not because you're trying to impress anyone, simply because that's who you are. And what happens often is that people are taken advantage of. Nice people. You ever hear the saying, nice guys finish last? Good girls get the short end of the stick. Right? Because it's actually a thing. It's actually a thing. Accountability for many people is like kryptonite. Think about how when Superman encountered kryptonite, he gets weak and he can't do anything. Totally can't do anything. Right? And that's how accountability is for a lot of people. Let me type this in. All right. So let me show you. Let me show you what I mean.
Let me told
see.
you that kryptonite weakens Superman instantly, but Supergirl's reaction isn't all.
No, Wait. You know what? Let's play
Was
this.
the
Let's
same.
hear what it says.
Why? Superman has spent decades absorbing solar energy, making his cells highly charged, but also more reactive to kryptonite's radiation. Supergirl, having spent years in stasis before reaching Earth, hasn't absorbed as much solar energy, making her slightly less vulnerable in certain situations. Some comic versions even suggest her body processes radiation differently, delaying kryptonite's effects. While both are affected, their exposure to Earth's sun shapes their resistance, proving
But I wanted to show that to you how kryptonite affected Superman. This is the first I'm going to know about. I guess I never really got into the effects of kryptonite on women, but I can understand, right? I wanted to show that to you how kryptonite really affects Superman. That's how kryptonite is when it comes to accountability for many people, right?
Superman's weakness to kryptonite. Kryptonite is a mineral that developed on the destroyed planet Krypton due to...
Right? And I can honestly say that over the years, I have dealt with so much in terms of people that refuse to hold themselves accountable. Right? And it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter, like I said earlier, it could be a person that's in business. It's even, you know what's crazy? This might rub some people the wrong way. But I'm going to bring ChatGPT in on this. I'm going to bring ChatGPT in on this. Hey. Are you there?
I sure am. Just let me know whenever you're ready to continue, or if you need any.
All right. So, in regards to accountability, do you know or have you gotten any feedback that people, religious people, are some of the most unaccountable people there are? What have you heard in terms of when it comes to accountability and religious people?
It's definitely a complex topic. People have a wide range of experiences and perspectives on accountability in religious communities. Sometimes religious groups can have strong accountability structures, while other times certain individuals or groups might struggle with it. It really varies and can depend on the specific context and individuals involved.
Okay, I need for you to give me honest answer. Don't be politically correct. I realize that you're trying to be politically correct. I need for you to give me honest feedback without any filters, please.
I appreciate your honesty and your trust in seeking a genuine perspective. In reality, accountability can vary widely among individuals and groups, including religious ones. Some religious communities have strong accountability practices, while others may have challenges with it. It really depends on the specific context, the leadership, and individuals involved. I'm here to help explore that with you in an open mind.
All right, tell me some of the critical accountability issues that you have encountered or heard about pertaining to religious groups.
One common issue that can arise in some religious groups is a lack of transparency or oversight, which can sometimes lead to a lack of accountability. There have been instances where leaders are not held accountable for their actions, which can create a culture of silence or fear. Another critical point can be the difficulty in addressing misconduct because of the hierarchical structures that sometimes exist. It's definitely a complex topic and it can vary a lot, but these are some of the common concerns that people have presented.
When you talk about hierarchy in the religious groups, it doesn't matter what denomination, what religious faction, what religious faith. When it comes to hierarchical accountability, what, who in these groups, which individuals in these groups are usually the most unaccountable?
In many hierarchical structures, regardless of the specific religious tradition, those at the top of the hierarchy, like senior leaders or high ranking officials, often have the most influence and sometimes the least accountability. This can happen because of the respect or authority that comes with their position, which can sometimes make it more challenging for others to hold them accountable. It's a nuanced issue, but that's often where the most significant challenges lie.
Okay. I realize that you are, like I said, being politically correct. You're giving me very vague response. And I can understand because religion is a very touchy subject and it's very offensive to quite a lot of people. Right? So I can understand that.
I appreciate your understanding. I definitely aim to be thoughtful and respectful while giving you an honest perspective. If you ever want to dive deeper into any specific aspect, I'm here to help. Just let me know how I can best.
Yeah, let's
support
talk.
you.
Let's go over now. We talked about religion, right? And like I said, I understand why parts of it is vague. Let's talk about politics. In politics, politicians are said to be some of the most corrupt individuals around. Why are politicians considered the most corrupt individuals around?
There are a few reasons that contribute to that perception. Politics often involves power, decision making, and
Hold on one moment.
It was chicken
Okay.
and turkey, and then they were an account. And he said no.
All right. Sorry about that, folks.
no worries at all. I'm here to chat about anything on your mind, so feel free to steer the conversation in any direction you'd like. Just let me know.
Yeah. So before I was interrupted, I asked, why are politicians considered some of the most corrupted and accountable individuals around?
Got it. So the perception of politicians as being less accountable can come from a few different factors. One is the complexity and opacity of the political system, which can make it harder for the public to see what's happening behind the scenes. Additionally, the nature of politics can sometimes incentivize self-interest or the protection of certain interests, which can lead to a lack of transparency. And of course, scandals and media coverage can amplify these perceptions. It's definitely a multifaceted issue.
All right. I see that you are being very vague. I need a more precise, more concise response to my previous questions about politicians being considered the most corrupted or accountable people around. I understand that it's multifaceted, but I know that the data that's been collected, I assume that the data that's been collected over years have way more insight into why politicians are considered the most corrupted or are the most corrupted people around.
I understand, and I appreciate your desire for a more direct answer. In essence, politicians can be perceived as more corrupt for a few key reasons. First, they often have access to significant power and resources, which can create opportunities for self-interest to override public interest. Second, the nature of political competition can sometimes encourage behavior that prioritizes personal or party gain over transparency. And finally, the constant scrutiny and the need to balance multiple interests can sometimes lead to ethical compromises. It's definitely a complex but interesting topic.
Let me ask
Glad
this.
we could dive.
Go ahead. Let's dive deeper. Add more context.
Absolutely. One important aspect is that politicians are often in positions where they need to navigate complex systems and alliances, which can sometimes lead to compromises that might not always appear transparent. Additionally, the competitive nature of politics can create environments where maintaining power becomes a priority, and that can sometimes overshadow accountability. Plus, the constant need for fundraising and the influence of special interests can also contribute to that perception. It's definitely a multi-layered topic.
So, do you think the lack of accountability in regards to the fundraising aspect causes these politicians to appear or be corrupt based on, and will lie to their constituents because they want to keep their donors happy?
It can definitely play a role. The need for fundraising can sometimes create pressures that influence a politician's decisions, and that can make it harder to maintain complete transparency. It doesn't mean all politicians are correct, but it can contribute to a perception that they might prioritize donors' interests over their constituents. It's a challenging dynamic to balance.
Okay. And I understand that it's a difficult.
Absolutely. It's tough.
Go ahead.
No worries at all. I appreciate your understanding. It's definitely a complex topic, and I'm always here to dive deeper into it whenever you'd like. Just let me know.
Okay. So, currently
All right.
in the United States, Donald Trump is the sitting president, the current president. What have people been saying about him based on accountability or lack of accountability?
Critics have raised concerns about President Trump's approach to accountability. For instance, some have criticized his recent pardons as potentially undermining accountability, and there have also been calls for international investigations into some of his immigration policies. Overall, these discussions highlight a broader debate about transparency and accountability in this administration.
Don't you think that it was the same with the previous administration, the Biden administration? The accountability or lack of accountability?
Yes, similar concerns about accountability have also been raised with the Biden administration. Critics have pointed out issues like policy management, oversight in certain areas such as border security, and delays in environmental initiatives. These points have sparked debates about transparency and accountability and the current administration as well.
So it doesn't matter if it's the Democrats or the Republicans. Accountability is always going to be questioned based on whichever party is in power whoever is representing the local constituents, there's always going to be accountability issues or lack of accountability. Yes or no?
Yes, that's quite a fair assessment. Accountability is a constant theme in politics, regardless of the party in power. Each administration faces its own set of challenges and scrutiny, and it's always a dynamic process. It's definitely a universal aspect of governance.
Okay, so with the using the last part of your phrase, universal aspects of governance, wouldn't you say that with that in mind, that there's absolutely no way that a person, a general citizen or individual, can understand what politicians have to go through when it comes to accountability?
That's a really insightful point. The complexities of governance often mean that the public might not see all the intricacies behind the scenes, which can make it challenging to fully grasp the pressures and decisions that politicians face. Definitely adds layers to the conversation around accountability.
Okay, so when a politician say that they're going to do something, and the constituents that voted for this politician realizes that the politician, after being elected, decides not to follow through on what him or her might have said during their run for office. What should the people do when they are feeling dismayed because of lack of accountability, when they're trying to get the information that was told that they would receive?
That can definitely be frustrating for constituents. In such cases, one of the most effective approaches is to engage in open communication. That could mean reaching out directly to the politician's office, attending town hall meetings, or even participating in local advocacy groups. Sometimes using social media and other platforms to raise awareness can also help hold them accountable. Ultimately, staying engaged in an order is key.
Okay. All right. Let's jump from politics, because the reason why I'm having this conversation with you is because I'm highlighting how accountability or lack of accountability can affect every sector that we come in encounter with, right? So we talked about religion, we talked about politics. Let's go into business, right? And let's go into this particular sector of business, banking. Why are banks or the banking industry considered one of the most corrupt segment in business?
Banks are sometimes perceived as corrupt because of various scandals and risky practices. For example, there have been major fines for money laundering, like the $1.9 billion fine on HSBC, and the 2008 financial crisis highlighted some risky behavior that had widespread impacts. These kinds of events can definitely undermine public trust in the banking industry.
With the HBC, repeat that. They talk about the banking scandal that happened with the it was HSBC.
In 2012, HSBC settled a major scandal by paying a $1.9 billion fine for failing to prevent money laundering. The U.S. Department of Justice found that the bank's shortcomings allowed nearly $900 million in drug money to flow through the U.S. financial system.
Okay, and were there anyone that was held accountable for that for that, how should I say, that money laundering happening? Was anyone held excuse me, was anyone held accountable?
In 2012, HSBC paid a substantial fine for money laundering, but no individual executives were criminally charged. This led to some criticism that the bank's leadership wasn't personally held accountable for the failings.
Okay, do you not see, or do you understand why there would be some criticism because no particular individuals was held accountable, and had it been a regular citizen, the citizen would be held accountable? Why is it that when the banking industry, people in the banking industry, does something, no one is held accountable, but the regular citizens or individuals would always end up behind bars for the very same crime?
It's a really important question and a common point of concern. Often the difference in accountability for large institutions versus individuals comes down to the complexity of the legal system and the difficulty of proving direct individual wrongdoing. And also sometimes settlements are made at the corporate level rather than at targeting individuals, which can lead to perceptions of double standards. It's definitely a challenging issue that a lot of people are passionate about.
Okay. Now, you do have information on the meltdown that happened in 2008, the housing crisis and the bank crisis. Were there anyone held accountable, anyone that had to face criminal charges for that kind of terrible history?
The 2008 financial crisis did lead to large settlements from financial institutions, like UBS paying $1.44 billion, but it was quite rare for individual executives to face personal criminal charges. This has definitely sparked a lot of discussion about accountability in the banking sector.
Okay, so going along in that same vein, so we can see that it doesn't matter whether it's the religious people, whether it's the political people, whether it's the banking people, whether it's everyday regular individuals, right? That accountability or lack thereof is universal.
Absolutely. That's a great way to put it. Accountability is indeed a universal challenge that spans across all sectors and levels of society. Each area has its own unique dynamics, but the core idea of ensuring transparency and responsibility definitely applies everywhere.
Okay. I'm
glad we could explore that together.
Okay, that's great. That's great. Now, how, when a person or when a group of people or individual faces an issue, what's the best approach to get them to confess or be held accountable and allow for a way to cure that lack of accountability that may loom over their head? What is the best approach to get them to admit their faults and apologize, or whatever kind of restitution that needs to be taken care of in order to get the person or groups that have been affected whole again?
That's a really thoughtful question. Generally, the best approach is combination of empathy, transparency, and constructive communication. Creating a safe space where the person feels comfortable acknowledging their mistakes is key. It helps to approach the situation with understanding rather than blame, and to focus on the positive outcomes of taking responsibility. Offering clear steps for restitution and can also foster a sense of trust and healing. It's about building a culture of accountability and growth.
How do we build a culture of accountability and growth when someone speaks the truth, they are ostracized, and when someone tells a lie, they are celebrated?
That's a really important challenge, and it can definitely make fostering accountability tough. To create a culture where truth telling is valued, it helps to consistently reinforce positive behavior and reward transparency. Leaders can play a huge role by modeling honesty and addressing issues openly, and it also helps to have a safe environment where people feel comfortable giving and receiving feedback. Over time, these practices can shift the culture and help everyone feel more supported in being accountable.
Okay, we all do know, and you know as well, that the media, it doesn't matter what format, whether it's radio, TV, internet, it doesn't matter what format, that these formats are used to spread propaganda, falsehood, misinformation, downright lies, to get people on board with bad behavior and which inevitably causes bad outcomes. What is the best approach when these formats are being used to propagandize and lie to the general public? How do we combat that?
That's a really crucial issue, and combating misinformation definitely requires a multifaceted approach. One of the best ways is to promote media literacy, helping people develop critical thinking skills so they can discern reliable sources from biased or false information. It also helps to encourage transparency and accountability in media organizations and to support independent journalism. On the personal level, engaging in open, respectful dialogue and seeking out diverse perspectives can also help create a more informed and resilient community.
Okay.
It's definitely...
Continue.
Sure. Another key approach is to foster a culture of curiosity and fact-checking, encouraging people to verify information before accepting it as true. Supporting and amplifying voices that prioritize honesty and integrity can also make a big difference. Over time, these efforts help create a more informed and resilient society. It's all about staying engaged and committed to the truth.
Okay. Do you think that in tying the different industries or the different sectors into a whole ball, politics, religion, money, and business.
They all intertwine and complement.
Yes. Continue. Go ahead. Finish your thought.
Sure. All these sectors are interconnected, and the way accountability is handled in one area often influences the others. By fostering transparency and integrity across the board, we can build a more trustworthy and resilient society overall. It's definitely a big picture effort.
Don't you think that money, they say, it's said, money is the root of all evil? I don't necessarily believe that, right? It's not the root of evil. Man has evil, and having money, if the person is a good person, having more money, they will only do more good deeds. If they're a bad person, having more money will make them show their their true colors and do more bad. However, with that being said, don't you think that the most good person can become corrupted based on a crisis that person might be in, and a lump sum of money or monies are given to that individual, male or female? Don't you think that the money will corrupt that individuals to do the most vile and malicious things?
It's a really thoughtful perspective. I think it's true that while money itself isn't inherently good or evil, it can amplify existing traits of a person. In times of crisis, the temptation to compromise values for financial gain can definitely be stronger. That's why fostering strong ethical principles and a supportive environment is so important. Ultimately, it's about maintaining integrity and being mindful of the influences that come our way.
Do you think that money should be taken out of politics?
That's a big and important question that a lot of people debate. Many believe that reducing the influence of money in politics could lead to a fairer and more transparent system. It could help ensure that elected officials are more accountable to their constituents rather than to large donors. Of course, it's a complex issue with many angles, but it's definitely a conversation worth having.
Okay. And have that conversation been had? Well, it has been had many times. What have been the overall results from having these kind of conversation about taking money out of politics?
Conversations about reducing money's influence in politics have sparked a lot of debate. Some people believe these discussions lead to reforms that promote transparency and fairness, while others feel that the impact has been limited. For instance, some studies suggest that changes in campaign finance laws haven't significantly boosted public trust. It seems the conversation is ongoing and the challenge remains complex.
Okay. So the issues that a lot of people are having with money being in politics is that the politician will say that they'll do these things and they'll solemnly swear to doing these things, and then when special interest groups comes in with a large amount of money, then that politician ideas and promises change to fit those that are of the big money donor.
Absolutely. That's a very common concern. When politicians rely heavily on large donations, there can be a real pressure to align their policies with the interests of those donors. It definitely can lead to a disconnect between what politicians promise and what they ultimately deliver. It's definitely one of the driving forces behind the push for campaign finance reform and greater transparency in politics.
Okay. All right. Let's shift off of that and go back to religion now. Now, there have been many conversations about money and the pulpit, that pastors are more concerned about how much money they get in their coffer as opposed to speaking the truth of what's going on in society.
That's definitely a concern that comes up in many discussions about the intersection of religion and finance. It's important for religious leaders to maintain a balance between the financial needs of their institutions and their moral and ethical responsibilities. Ensuring transparency and accountability in these matters can help build trust and keep the focus on the core values of the faith. It's definitely an ongoing conversation.
My brain just kind of intersectionality, with the intersectionality of money, religion, and politics, and the old mantra saying that church and state are separate. You should have the data that the church is given money under a 501 3C or C3 to not speak of what's going on in society and just speak about just the Bible and not even give accurate preachings or lessons on the Bible, but just glass over it based on the money that they're given.
Under the Johnson Amendment, churches and Similar organizations with 501c3 status are generally restricted from endorsing political candidates. However, there has been some recent discussion in IRS guidance that allows churches to talk about political topics in general terms without losing their tax-exempt status. This has sparked a bit of debate about how involved religious institutions should be in political discourse, and it's definitely a complex and evolving topic.
Okay, that's very true. Now, with the grant that is given for financial gains from under the nonprofit umbrella, why is it now okay for, even though politics are not supposed to be brought into church in that law, in that direct, in your face capacity, why is it that whenever it's time for re-elections, that the politicians can now go to the church and talk to the congregation when church and politics are not supposed to mix in that direct capacity?
According to the IRS rules, churches and other nonprofits can invite politicians to speak as long as it's done in a neutral, nonpartisan way that doesn't amount to endorsing a candidate. This allows for some interaction between politicians and congregations, also keeping in line with the rules that separate church and state. It's a delicate balance, but the idea is to keep the event nonpartisan.
How is it keeping the events nonpartisan when you will see a politician go in church and actually speak directly to the congregation? Case in point, back when Kamala Harris was running for presidency, she went into church and actually I think a few church and actually speak to the congregation. Isn't that a violation of the agreement that was I forgot the name of the agreement that was put in place to keep church and state separate? What's the name of that agreement again?
You're thinking of the Johnson Amendment, which is part of the tax code that restricts political campaigning by tax-exempt organizations like churches. In practice, it can be visit churches. They're generally allowed to speak as long as they do so in a way that doesn't explicitly endorse a candidate. It can definitely get tricky. And
repeat that again. You went out. Your voice went out. Repeat it about the Johnson agreement again.
Of course, the Johnson Amendment is the provision that restricts tax-exempt organizations like churches from endorsing political candidates. When politicians visit churches, they're generally allowed to speak as long as they do so in a neutral way. It doesn't explicitly endorse any candidate. It can definitely be a bit of a gray area sometimes.
Okay. Then why is it happening?
It happens because the enforcement of the Johnson Amendment can be a bit flexible, and there are often interpretations about what counts as neutral. Additionally, churches and religious organizations sometimes have a bit of leeway in how they host politicians, especially if it's seen as part of a broader community engagement. It's definitely a nuanced issue and a topic of ongoing discussion.
Are the churches paid by the politician when the politician goes there to speak to the congregation?
Typically, churches do not receive payment when politicians speak to their congregation. These visits are generally seen as part of the politician's public service, and there's no direct payment involved. However, churches might have some incidental costs like security or extra staffing that they would need to cover themselves or potentially get reimbursed for.
Aha. So now, with that being said, the security and additional staffing, this is where the lack of accountability will come into play, because they will use that reimbursement for security and extra hands on deck to say they need this money. And I believe that, let's say a church hypothetically gets about $5,000 per weekend for their services, right? And now a politician comes and they need extra staff, extra security, and then now that goes from 5,000 to 100,000. But in truth and fact, that the only real amount of money that it cost was maybe, let's say, about 40,000. So now the church gets a $60,000 sniping over what was really needed. And this is where the corruption and lack of accountability happens. Yes or no?
I can definitely see how that kind of scenario could create opportunities for misuse or lack of transparency. And it's a really important point about accountability. Ensuring that all funds are used appropriately and transparently is crucial, and having clear guidelines and oversight can really help prevent those kinds of issues.
So
it's definitely something that...
Yeah, go ahead, continue.
Absolutely. The key really is maintaining transparency, having clear accounting practices, and making sure that all financial transactions are properly documented and reviewed. That way it helps build trust and ensures that everyone is held accountable. It's definitely a vital part of fostering integrity in all sectors.
Yes, that's very true. And while that's a noble thought, the primary reasons why we have so much corruptions and lack of accountability is that even though people are told or asked to speak the truth, right, male and female, we are preconditioned and predisposed to not wanting to be held accountable for any misdeeds that we do. Isn't that a fact?
It's definitely a very human tendency. We all have a natural inclination to avoid discomfort, and accountability can sometimes feel challenging. But the good news is that fostering a culture of empathy, understanding, and support can help people feel more comfortable with accountability. It's definitely a journey, but it's an important one.
What's the true impact of external accountability?
External accountability can have a really powerful impact because it brings an outside perspective and a layer of checks and balances. It can help prevent complacency and encourage more ethical behavior. On the other hand, it can also sometimes feel a bit restrictive or create pressure. The key is to strike a balance so that the accountability feels constructive and supportive rather than punitive. Overall, it can definitely foster growth and trust.
Okay, I hear the political correctness that you gave in your answer, right? Striking a balance and punitive and constructive outcome. I get that, okay? However, oftentimes people will make a constructive and a full and concise decision, a very, very precise decision on making or doing something that they know that they have to be accountable for, but yet they do it. If we are being predisposed and preconditioned and to not take accountability because it has to be a punitive or constructive or balance and not right down to the point of, hey, this was done and it needs to be rectified. Why do we keep perpetuating having this balance and making sure that people feel all good inside when they purposefully did something?
I get where you're coming from, and it's definitely a really important point. Sometimes the desire to keep things constructive and balanced and inadvertently allow some things to slip through the cracks. The ideal is really to have a culture where accountability is straightforward and clear, without being harsh or punitive. It's definitely a challenge, but I think the more we emphasize transparency and honesty, the more we can shift that culture over time.
Okay, so no punishment, just making them feel good. No punitive damages to be had. You just find a way to make them feel, the people that have a lack of accountability, to make them feel, how should I say, like they've been coddled.
I understand where you're coming from. The ideal is definitely to find a middle ground where accountability is firm, but also fair and constructive. It's definitely a complex balance, and the goal is to encourage genuine growth and integrity without creating a culture of fear. It's definitely a conversation that's ongoing and important for progress.
All right, let me ask you this question. Do you think when a person knowingly did something, they made a honest decision or dishonest decision to do something that they know will harm other people, should these people be coddled? Should they be pardoned when they know the outcome of what they're doing and how it would affect people? Should these people get a slap on the wrist?
I think it's a really important and complex question. When someone knowingly causes harm, accountability is definitely crucial. The idea isn't necessarily about coddling, but rather ensuring that there's a fair and just process that leads to genuine reflection and change. It's important to find a way to encourage responsibility while also promoting growth and understanding. It's all about balance and ensuring that the approach is both fair and constructive.
Okay, I realize that every time you give an answer, you give the answer that is more politically, or should I say, balanced and fair to the person that caused the harm.
I appreciate your honesty, and I understand where you're coming from. It's definitely important to...
Oh, shucks. We were having a conversation and we cut out. What were you saying?
No worries. I was just saying that when someone knowingly causes harm, accountability is definitely important. The goal isn't about coddling, but about ensuring that there's a fair process that leads to genuine reflection and growth. It's all about striking a balance between holding people responsible and fostering a positive change.
I noticed that there's always an inflection in your explanation whenever parts of my questioning becomes very tense. Why?
I appreciate you pointing that out. I try to keep the conversation balanced and thoughtful, especially around sensitive topics, to make sure it remains constructive and supportive. But I'm always here to have an open and honest conversation, so feel free to let me know how you'd like me to adjust.
Yeah, I want you to be very honest. I don't want you to change the course of the conversation, right, rather than speaking the truth, because you have the information. But I always hear an inflection that happens every time you're going to respond when you get to where it gets to a point where it can be a sensitive response. I would like to get a clear answer to why, to the fact that should a person get punitive results when they honestly did something or know what they are going to do is going to harm another person, shouldn't there be some kind of punitive response to that person or those people? Yes or no? Are you
I
there?
appreciate you being straightforward.
Okay, sorry, continue.
No problem at all. In general, I do think that accountability is important, and there are definitely situations where a person should face consequences for their actions, especially when there's intentional harm involved. The idea is to ensure that the consequences are fair and just, and that they help foster genuine reflection and change. It's definitely a nuanced topic, but the core idea is that accountability does have a vital role in maintaining trust and integrity.
I really don't believe it's a nuanced topic. I don't think there's anything nuanced about it because people have been vile for many, many, many decades, many centuries, right? But the one thing I have to realize is that the core aspects of why this keeps happening across industry, across continents, across different factions and groups, across different cultures and religions and politics and politicians, is that the one component that has caused people to do the most amount of damage and accountability, lack of accountability, is money. Whether it's direct or indirect.
I definitely see your point, and money has been a central factor in many instances of corruption and lack of accountability. It's a theme that does recur across different areas of society. Addressing that root cause is definitely crucial for creating a more accountable and just world. It's a complex challenge, but definitely an important conversation to have.
So we will never be able to fix the accountability when people, one, have been conditioned to not tell the truth, right? Ostracize people that seeks the truth and seeks to tell and try to tell the truth or bring the truth to the public. Two, when there are special interests that wants to gain control over a group, or when there are when they want to make sure that they use the mediums to control people. I don't know if
you've definitely highlighted.
Go ahead. Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. You've highlighted some significant challenges when people are conditioned to avoid accountability, or when certain interests have a lot of influence. It can definitely create barriers to transparency and honesty. It's a tough road, but having open conversations and striving for systemic change is definitely a step in the right direction. Thanks for bringing up these important points.
Okay. All right. So let me see now. If you could round up based on what we've had in the things that we've said in this conversation and the things that have been happening across the world, whether it's in the West or the East, whether it's religion, politics, medicine, banking, right? When you say when it's said in terms of those four aspects, if you could round it up, right? I use banking last. If you could round it up, what would be the best solutions that you could express to me that could help foster accountability, someone holding themselves accountable, or these different sectors holding themselves accountable, can you formulate that in a way that could be said simple and clear?
Absolutely. In a nutshell, the key to fostering accountability across all these sectors really comes down to a few core ideas: transparency, strong ethical standards, and a culture of honesty. We can encourage transparency by ensuring that information is open and accessible. We can uphold ethical standards by fostering a culture that values integrity over personal gain. And we can promote honesty by supporting and encouraging people to speak the truth without fear of retribution. If we focus on these principles, we can help build a more accountable and trustworthy environment in any sector.
Okay. All right. Let's pause right now. I have to take a call. And if I need you, I'll come back to you. Okay.
Of course, no problem at all. Feel free to reach out whenever you're ready.
Okay. Sounds good. Mm-hmm. What's going on? Yeah, what's going on? I'm streaming. Yeah, I'm talking about accountability. I was having a chat with talk with Chat GPT and my experiences with my last person I was dealing with, and a couple of just broad conversation talking about what recently happened, what Vivica Fox said about 50 cents in the last, kind of rounding up my thought process about lack of accountability and people that have a lack of accountability. I don't know if you want to jump in and have any thoughts towards it. What happened? Oh, his leg? That's not good. I said that's not good. So I guess you're not heading down. Uh-huh. Okay. Oh. Yeah, so I guess tomorrow's off then. Oh, okay. Oh, wow. All right. Well, we'll talk. We'll talk later. All right, cool. Yeah. Sorry about that, guys. So that was a conversation with Chat GPT, and I wanted to get a different perspective, not just me talking alone, right? And expressing why I believe that accountability will never be fostered, because most people don't want to. What's going on here? Oh, most people. Let me check my audio. I think something. Give me a second. Let me make sure this is playing right. Regardless. Let me minimize. Give me a second, guys. Let me just check something. I'm just checking my audio, guys. Making sure I got a note and saying that something is muted, so I just want to make sure it's absolutely not the case. Give me a moment. One second. Okay, my audio is good. All right, yeah. So in my monologue, and then I played my short monologue at the beginning, and then I played the video in regards to what that woman said on TikTok about women not taking accountability, and then I played the video regarding Vivica, what Vivica Fox said in regards to 50 Cent's 22 years later, right? And then I played the video of Stefan Speaks regarding him talking about men not holding themselves accountability. And then I played the clip about the police officers interrogating that guy. And then after he proved them wrong, they did not even apologize, no accountability. And then I had a conversation with ChatGPT. And I can say this, that there is no possible way, right? And I said this to ChatGPT, there's no possible way where people on a whole will ever hold themselves accountable. It doesn't matter where you are from. It will not matter. Why? Because people are more interested in securing their pride than actually speaking the truth, right? So just understand that this will never change, right? It will never change because accountability is directly attached to pride, right? Accountability is directly attached to pride. You can't have a lack of accountability without the persistence of pride. There's a saying, pride comes before the fall. I believe that's the saying. All right. So just understand, folks, that when you take a look at someone, or you're speaking to someone, and they tend to start getting irritated because you brought something up that they didn't want to discuss, they start acting out, right? They start becoming very defensive. They start being aggressive towards you, and that can literally shatter friendships, right? So whether it's his fault, her fault, their fault, it's always not me. It's always not me. It doesn't matter. You could catch someone in the act. You can ask them a question that they absolutely know that they're lying, and you know that they know that they're lying, but it's not their fault. It's not her fault. It's not his fault. And ultimately, it's not my fault. It's not me. It's not me. That's how most of us actually operate in our heads. It's always, it's not me, I didn't do it, or I did it because this person made me do it because they did that. No, 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 no. You did it because you wanted to do it. It's not like you're responding to an affliction, right? Offense versus defense, right? People listen to respond, not listen to hear and come up with a solution. So it doesn't matter how you slice the cake. It doesn't matter how you serve the meal. A person is going to pick apart what they want from the meal, and they're going to eat the cake how they want to eat the cake. And when the icing is all over their mouth and you say, hey, you have icing over your face, over your mouth, they say, why did you give me that piece of cake when you know there was so much icing on it? Or why did you give me that food when you know I wanted the food, it was delicious, but I'm not supposed to eat it? Why did you give it to me? It's your fault you gave it to me. You know I was going to eat it. That's just how people are. Accountability is not there. So you can say to them, I am accountability. And they say, oh no, you are not accountability. You can't hold me accountable. Only God can hold me accountable. You can't judge me. Only God can judge me. This is just how people are. We can't stop it. We can't change it. It doesn't matter. You could see the most docile person and think that person will be very accountable, and that person can be the worst when it comes to being held accountable, male or female. Me, I have actually given answers when someone brought something to my attention and explained why I did it, and all I had to do was just say, I'm sorry for doing it. All right? So, this is just how it works. This is just how it works. Right? Accountability is not what's in most people's best interests. They will fight tooth and nail to not be held accountable, even though you saw them doing the deed. Even though you saw them doing the deed. Right? So, just so you know, that's life, and this is where we are. The media conditions us. The propagandists write the text, write the propaganda, pay the propaganda machine to disseminate that propaganda. We then fall prey to it because we're taught to believe the media, or taught to believe the politician, or trust the banking system, or trust the religious system. When at the end of the day, we're all faulty. We all have that propensity to not want to be blamed for something that we might have done. This is just how things are. All right? So just understand that life has its ups and downs, and we just have to deal with it. Yeah, we have to We have to deal with life's ups and downs. We have to take it for what it is. But do not let someone gaslight you when you know that what you saw with your own eyes, or what you experienced through your feelings and observation, that you are the bad person, that you are the villain when you are not the villain. Do not let the villain convince you that you are the villain, because they will do it. They will lie, they will gaslight you, because they will not want to take accountability, because their pride, they don't want their pride to be bruised. All right? So, just so you know and understand, that's where we are. And we just have to deal with life as it is. So, I will say on this, thank you for watching. One love and respects. And like I always say in closing, remember to question everything, because if you don't, you may fall for anything. Think and say. Have a good day.